Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's live reading from Brilliant as the Sun, a retelling of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, the Sages of Naimisharanya. We're going to read from chapter 15 today, the Pandavas Depart. After hearing that Krishna and his family have all left this world, the Pandavas decide to retire. Chapter 15, verses 1 to 5. For some moments, Arjun said nothing, remembering the Lord's kindness, friendship, intimate familial relations, and his chariot driving. Arjun was overwhelmed with feelings of separation. Composing himself with great effort, he began to speak. The Supreme Lord Krishna, who treated me as his dearest friend, has left me. I have just lost he whose absence for a moment would render all the worlds repulsive like bodies without life. Because of his departure, my astounding power that amazed even the gods is also gone. Arjun again broke down weeping. Yudhishthira stared at him in horrified silence. His other brothers had entered the court on hearing of Arjun's return. They too looked shocked. Krishna gone. Their greatest well-wishing friend and beloved Lord. Weakened by the news, they stumbled to their seats, burying their faces in their hands. Chapter 15, verses 6 to 31. Once seated, Arjun collected his thoughts and calmed himself. Taking a deep breath, he said, "By Krishna's grace, I overcame the world's monarchs to win the celestially beautiful Draupadi, succeeding in near impossible test of arms. With him by my side, I defeated the gods in a battle and compelled the celestial architect Mayadanav to build the incomparable Mayasabha assembly house, and thanks to him, our brother Bhim was able to slay King Jarasandh, who had conquered thousands of other kings." Arjun's brothers listened in stunned silence as he recalled the numerous times Krishna had saved them from catastrophe, particularly during the battle of Kurukshetra. The Kauravs' military strength was like an ocean in which dwelt many invincible shark-like fighters. It was insurmountable. Only because of Krishna's friendship was I able to cross it safely. By his mere glance, he withdrew those warriors' life duration. The Lord had thus sapped the inspiration, power, and enthusiasm from the prodigious martial array headed by Bhishma, Karna, Drona, Shalya, and other mighty heroes. Their arrangement was expert and insuperable, but Krishna neutralized it as he drove my chariot forward. The great kings, although directing unstoppable weapons at me, could not touch even a hair on my head. As he remembered his familiarity with Krishna, Arjun trembled with grief. Surely it was only due to a lack of esteem for my Lord that I dared to engage him as my chariot driver, for he is worshipped and offered services by the best of men who desire salvation. Krishna and I would eat, sleep, and pass our leisure hours together. I became so intimate with him that I would joke and playfully deride him, laughing when he spoke of his chivalry, saying, "Of course, my friend, of course." He never took offense and excused my audacity exactly as a friend would excuse another friend, or a lover his beloved. Separated from my dearest well-wisher, the best of all persons, my heart is broken and there is no purpose to my life. The five brothers sat in stunned silence for some time, thinking only of Krishna. Their grief from Krishna's separation intensified their loving feelings, and they forgot everything else, even the existence of their own bodies. Arjun became increasingly disconsolate as he explained how after Krishna's departure, he had been entrusted to bring the Lord's queens to Hastinapur. I was then attacked by a band of ruffian cowherds who kidnapped those ladies despite my attempts to protect them. I fought with the same Gandiv bow with which I overcame the gods. I rode upon the same chariot, carried the same inexhaustible quiver of arrows, and I am the same Arjun who was respected and feared by all. Yet, in an instant, it has all been rendered useless due to Krishna's absence. A big lesson for all of us. Lord's presence empowers us to do anything we are able to do. If that mercy is not there from Lord, we are also useless. Arjun's brothers looked at him in disbelief, defeated by cowherd men. Arjun told Yudhishthir of the fate of Krishna's family and dynasty. Since you asked me about the Yadus, I will tell you, though it pains me greatly. Intoxicated with wine and afflicted by a Brahminical curse, they fought together with iron bars, hardly recognizing each other. But all but 4 or 5 of them are dead and gone. His 4 brothers looked at him in horror, their mouths agape. How could the virtuous Yadus have killed one another? It was unthinkable. Bhim was the first to speak. Surely this was engineered by Krishna so that his associates would leave with him. How else could the Lord's invincible sons and grandsons have been slain? No one on earth could have killed them. Arjun agreed it had been Krishna's will, as at the ocean the bigger fish swallow the smaller. So the Lord engaged one Yadu to kill another, and then he too departed. Becoming silent, Arjun began to meditate on the instructions Krishna had spoken at the commencement of the battle of Kurukshetra. Gradually he felt his sorrow subside and his mind became free from illusion. So Lord comes at his own will, descends on this earth rather, and when the time is right, Lord departs from this earth to his Golok Vrindavan with all his associates as well. Chapter 15, verses 32 to 50. Yudhishthir began to think of the future. He knew that in Krishna's absence, Kali's influence would be spread, characterized by an increasing avarice, falsehood, cheating and violence. He remembered that Narad had instructed him to retire and follow his lord. Thus he made arrangements for Parikshit to be crowned as the next king of Hastinapur. He also installed Krishna's great-grandson Vajra as the king in Mathura. After enthroning Parikshit and Vajra, just to remind if I may, Parikshit is the grandson of Arjun, son of Abhimanyu, and Vajra is the great-grandson of Krishna. He and his brothers gave up their royal dress and put on simple cloth with their minds fixed on attaining Krishna's eternal association. They set out from their city without telling anyone. They walked towards the mountains, oblivious to everything and appearing like madmen. In due course, they left this world and went to Krishna's eternal spiritual planet. Their wife Draupadi and mother Kunti also fixed their minds on the Lord and ascended to Lord's abode. Chapter 15, verses 34 to 35. As Sutta brought this narrative to an end, the sages sat in grief-stricken silence. Krishna and his entire family, as well as the mighty Pandavas and their relatives, were all gone. What a terrible loss for the earth! How unfortunate they were not to have been able to see them. Sensing their mood, Sutta spoke, "The Lord and his pastimes are eternal, always visible to his pure devotees. Please also understand the Yadus did not die in the same way as a conditioned soul dies. Many of the gods entered the Yadu family to assist the Lord in killing the demonic kings. On the pretext of a fratricidal slaughter, those gods returned to their heavenly posts. The Lord's eternal associates, however, returned with him to his never-ending pastimes in the eternal Dwarka. The Pandavas also reached him in their self-same spiritual bodies in which they always serve him." Shaunak sat quietly assimilating this information. It was not easy to understand Krishna's activities. After some moments he said, "Did Krishna take part in the fight between the Yadus? Did he, like them, also leave his body?" Sutta said, "Krishna never gives up his body. All his forms are eternal, sometimes manifest and sometimes not. Like a magician, he seems to relinquish his body, but he never factually has a material form." "Will his apparent death not confuse people into thinking he is like them?" asked Shaunak. "The devotees are never confused," replied Sutta. "Only the atheists will take this episode as proof that Krishna is a mere mortal. This is Krishna's desire, for he never reveals himself to those who envy him. Thus he creates an illusion of his departure." "It is not a happy illusion," stated Shaunak, smiling weakly. Chapter 15, verse 51, Sutta chuckled, "No, my friend, but grief for the departure of the Lord and his great devotee is another aspect of prema. Indeed, anyone who faithfully hears such subjects will attain pure devotion to Krishna." Loud shouts of approval arose from the sages. Shaunak said, "Pray tell us what happened after the Pandavas left and Parikshit assumed the throne." That's it. And we have finished the chapter 15, Pandavas Depart. Now it will be chapter 16 next time. Parikshit becomes king. Thank you for joining. Hare Krishna.